I'm Tanya, an OpenSciEd teacher and facilitator. I'm here to introduce you to Lesson 1 of Unit 7.3, which is the Metabolic Reactions Unit. You often hear people refer to this as the McKenna Unit. We're going to take a minute today to look at how we got here in prior units. We'll take a look at the lesson at a glance, as well as some key moments, and then some tips and tricks to help you through this particular lesson. Let's take a second, though, and think about how we got here. In our 2 units prior to this particular unit, 7.1 and 7.2, we have figured out that particles can rearrange to create new substances, and we call this process a chemical reaction. We also figured out in 7.2 that not only are new substances created, but energy is also transferred in this process. This brings us to Unit 7.3, where we're introduced to this new phenomenon, and we're left wondering what's happening inside of McKenna's body to make her feel the way she does. Let's take a moment and look at this lesson in particular. This is the anchoring phenomenon routine, which is intended to take about 3 days and has about 15 minutes of material prep required, mostly copies and poster setup if you'd like to do that in advance. There are no investigations or devices needed in this lesson. You and your students will be listening to an audio recording, though, at the very beginning of the launch on day 1, so you may want to make sure that this audio clip works for you before you get started in your class. When you look at this 3-day lesson, you can see that it can be divided into 3 big sense-making chunks. The first happens on day 1, the second happens on day 2, and the third begins on the end of day 2 and carries into day 3. Let's look a little bit closer. On day 1, the first chunk you can see takes up the entire day. Here during the anchoring routine, the students get to hear a recording from a 13-year-old girl named McKenna that recently started feeling really sick. Your students then independently and in partners or small groups discover information about McKenna from a doctor's note and figure out that she has symptoms in all different parts of her body, but many of them appear to be mostly in the digestive system. This leads us now to the second chunk. The second chunk happens at day 2. This is where your students now take that independent thinking that they had from day 1 and work together whole group to gather their ideas and come to a consensus on what they know and what they still need to figure out. They decide they still have many questions that they want to answer. So this brings us to our final chunk, where the students identify what these questions are, organize them into different categories as they're discussing them, and realize they have a lot of questions about the digestive system. One of the ideas for investigation that they generated during this part of the lesson is to figure out what happens inside of McKenna's digestive system. So that's where they decide they want to go next. So what they end up figuring out is that McKenna's symptoms are all over her body. We can't explain why this is happening yet, but we do want to zone in on the digestive system to begin with, because that's where a lot of our questions were. Since this is the anchoring phenomenon lesson, there are many key moments to this lesson that are important for the rest of the unit. Let's take a look at the first one. The first one happens in part 2 when the students are asked to make observations of McKenna's doctor's note. As they're doing this, they're asked to add to a Notice, Think, Wonder chart. It may be the first time some of your students have been asked to use this type of chart, so a graphic organizer might be helpful for them. During the think portion of this activity, the students are asked to map each of McKenna's symptoms off her doctor's note to a different body system. It's not important that they are 100% accurate quite yet, but just that they're getting their initial ideas down and generating questions as they go. The next key moment happens about halfway through day 1 during part 3, where the group has their first whole group discussion in Scientist Circle to discuss their ideas. This is a great opportunity to be able to revisit your norms and have students reflect on what norm would be best for the goal of this discussion, which is simply allowing everybody an opportunity to share their initial ideas and see what similarities and differences they have in their thinking so far. At this point, it's really important as the teacher to not confirm whether any of your students' ideas are right or wrong, as difficult as that is. Now, if you're having a hard time getting your students talking, using sentence stems is often very helpful in my classroom to get my kids started. Another option that I've used several times is partner sharing, or just allowing nonverbal communication to be considered a form of a way that the students can actually tell me what they're thinking. Part 4 is near the end of the first day and the next key moment. This is where the students are asked to create their initial models. To help support students with getting started in writing their actual models, you might want to decide together on some of the items that they should be including in their models. Another option is they may wish to show what McKenna's body looks like versus a healthy person's and show two different comparisons. Also, remind the students that we're thinking about all of the symptoms, not just the ones in her digestive system, which are the ones that they tend to key in on. And this process brings us to the end of day 1. At the start of day 2, during part 6, the students are asked to move to scientist circle again to create their class consensus model. The way this model looks can be different from one class to another. For example, some classes may want to use the outline of a human body as their model for a more realistic representation, or it may be a good opportunity to show students that models don't have to look exactly like what they're supposed to be showing and could be a more graphic representation like the one that you see on the slide. The importance of this part of the lesson is simply identifying what we know, what we agree on, and where we still have questions. This brings us to the final key moment, which happens in part 10 of day 3. Here, the students create their driving question board. The most important part to this moment is that all students are able to identify their own questions, and everyone has at least one question represented somewhere on the driving question board. This step connects the students to what they're learning about now and in all the future lessons. So as you have your students read off their questions, a suggestion is try to group them as you go. It will save you time in the long run. Also, if you're noticing your students are only asking one type of question, like what's making her so sick, try to ask the students to think beyond just that one question and refer back to some of the evidence that we've looked at so far, like our related phenomenon we discussed. Now, all of this brings us to the end of the first lesson, where we finally decide we want to figure out what's happening inside of McKenna's body and if it's the same or different as a healthy person. Now, I know I included some tips and tricks in the key moments section, but let's chat about a few more. The first major thing I have to address every year that I teach this unit is what to do with the students that simply Google McKenna and figure out her diagnosis. Now, there's several ways to deal with this, but the one that I found most effective in my classroom was asking the kids to actually explain how they know she's sick and explain how those interactions are actually happening. And then at that point, when they don't have an answer for you, they figure out that they need to learn some more first. Another suggestion is make sure to have students keep their version of the doctor's note and that mapping that they did in lesson 1 in a place where they can be able to find it again, because they do revisit those handouts. And then finally, you know your class and their needs better than anyone else. So be prepared with sentence stems or starters to be able to get them to move their thinking forward anytime your class starts to struggle a little. Now, in terms of word wall management, one word that we encounter is the word interaction, which is a connection or relationship between two things. But this is not an all-inclusive list. In prior years, I've had students want to add the word fatigue to the list or other symptoms that were there that they weren't quite sure of. So be prepared to add whatever words your students feel they want to be able to gain as vocabulary as they move through this unit. Now, in terms of posters, if you have access to your word wall from 7.1 or 7.2, if you've done those two prior units, I suggest having those up still because a lot of that vocabulary gets revisited again in this unit. Materials that are created during this lesson would be your Notice, Think, Wonder chart, the mapping of the symptoms to the body systems handout that the students filled out, and then your large posters that you created when you were identifying areas in the initial models where the students agreed or disagreed with each other. Now, other large posters that are made, but you need to make sure you have available for students as the lessons progress, would be your driving question board, your initial consensus model, your ideas for investigations, as well as your related phenomenon, because you'll revisit those in future lessons. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me about lesson one of McKenna. I hope you're as curious about what's going on with her as my students were. And this leads us right into lesson two, where we're going to be able to actually look inside of a human digestive system and figure out what's going on with McKenna's versus a healthy person. Have a great day.